So are you saying LeBron is better than Michael Jordan?
I would pick LeBron James.
The beef between Michael Jordan and Isaiah Thomas is one of the longest and most bitter feuds in NBA history.
There's no way you can convince me you an asshole.
And you called me an asshole. And then you said you hated me. Apologize for it.
They last played against each other in 1993, but somehow MJ and Isaiah still find ways to talk about it 30 years later.
I don't know what happened, but I know I didn't lead the walk-off.
Well, I know it's all
This is the complete breakdown of the most famous beef in NBA history, which started back in 1985. However, the first time Isaiah Thomas played against Michael Jordan wasn't in the NBA, but during the preparations for the 1984 Olympics. Back then, the U.S. still sent collegiate athletes to the Olympics, and in 1984, Team USA prepared for the games by playing exhibition games against NBA stars. Even though nobody knew it then, the 1984 team was the best collegiate squad the Americans had sent to the Olympics up to that point. Beyond Michael Jordan, there were two other future Hall of Famers in Patrick Ewing and Chris Mullin, along with several other players who had long and successful careers in the NBA. But despite their talent, nobody gave college kids much of a chance against NBA All-Stars, such as Isaiah Thomas, Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, and several others. Even though the NBA All-Star roster changed from game to game, and they weren't in the best shape in early July after the NBA season was over, nobody could have expected what would happen next. Jordan and Team USA went on to dismantle the NBA's greats in every single game, finishing the exhibition with a perfect 8-0 record. Isaiah played in 3 of those games, averaging 13 points per game, while Jordan averaged 17.
And this dude was so fast and so quick. He was like, oh.
Jordan and Team USA would win gold at the Olympics with a 32-point margin of victory, and MJ led all U.S. scorers with 17 points per game. And when he started his NBA career, it didn't take long for Jordan to start dominating, as he scored 37 points in his 3rd career game. And a week later, in his 7th NBA game, the Bulls played against Isaiah's Pistons, a team that would later become synonymous with his career. And this first matchup against his future nemesis didn't start well for Jordan, who was plagued with foul trouble and ended up scoreless in the first half. But he came alive in the second, leading the Bulls to victory with 25 points. But despite losing, Isaiah was better than Michael individually, with 35 points and 10 assists. Isaiah finally won a game against Jordan in January 1985, but their next matchup was the first sign of problems between the two stars. It was during the 1985 All-Star Game when Jordan felt disrespected by Isaiah Thomas and his East teammates. MJ believed that Thomas was freezing him out and not willing to pass him the ball, and that he instructed the rest of the starters to do so as well. However, the stats don't really back up that theory, as Jordan took 9 shots in 22 minutes on the court, which wasn't low by any means. Adrian Dantley, the reigning scoring champ, only took 6 shots, while Kareem and Bernard King took 10 in the same amount of time on the court. But according to Jordan, the beef didn't start on court, but in an elevator. I got on an elevator with Isaiah Thomas to go downstairs for a league meeting. That was the first time I met him, and I said, "Hello, how you doing?" That's all I said. I was really intimidated because I didn't know him and I didn't want to get on his nerves. I didn't want to seem like a rookie, and I was quiet. When I went down to the room for the meeting, I still didn't say anything. After the weekend was over, it got back to me that I was arrogant and cocky, and I wouldn't even speak to Isaiah on the elevator, that I gave him the cold shoulder. And I'm saying Isaiah Thomas initiated it all. However, there are 2 sides to every story, and according to Isaiah's manager, Jordan was wearing Nike shoes in warm-ups during the Saturday workouts, which violated the NBA protocol, and that bothered Isaiah, who thought the hyped rookie was acting out. After the All-Star weekend was over, fate would have it that Jordan and Isaiah met in the very next game, and Jordan destroyed the Pistons, scoring a then career-high 49 points on 19 for 31 shooting in an overtime win. "It was a grudge game from my standpoint," said Jordan, who always took things personally. The media picked up on the freeze-out story, and after the game, the headlines read, "Jordan gets his revenge, scores 49, and the beef was officially born." In 1987, Jordan established a new career high, again against the Pistons. Jordan poured in an insane 61 points, shooting 22 for 39 from the field in a 125-120 OT victory. However, in the playoffs, MJ had to swallow many bitter pills. In his first 3 playoff appearances, the Bulls won just 1 game, and when Jordan finally won his first playoff series in 1988, he immediately got hot humbled by Isiah and the Pistons, who defeated the Bulls 4-1 in the second round. In the next two seasons, the Bulls made the conference finals, but both times they lost to Detroit, who proved to be an unsolvable riddle for Michael. By implementing the so-called Jordan rules, the Pistons used to beat the crap out of MJ, using hard fouls to slow down the best player in the world. However, when talking about Jordan, Isiah was always complimentary, even calling him the best player he's ever seen.
But this guy, you can't stop him. His skills are so unbelievable. You know, it's the best I've ever seen.
But in 1991, the Pistons were aging and tired from 3 straight trips to the NBA Finals. And when they met Chicago again in the conference finals, the Bulls were better than ever. With Jordan, Pippen, and Horace Grant in their athletic prime, the Bulls dominated and won the first 3 games of the series. Before Game 4, Jordan said that the Pistons were undeserving champions and that the bad boys were bad for basketball.
And then called us undeserving champions. Now, we done beat the Lakers. We done beat the Celtics. We done beat y'all several times. Ain't nobody had a harder march to the NBA Finals than the Detroit Pistons. We done got cheated. We done got beat up. We have beaten the best of the best to ever play this game.
Isiah responded to Jordan's comments with, "People will look back at this team and say we were one of the greatest teams to play basketball. We were great champions. He should be classier than to talk like that." The Pistons were pissed and motivated to make Jordan eat his words. But the Bulls were too good, and they swept the series. However, in the final moments of Game 4, when it was clear that it was all over, the Pistons orchestrated one of the most controversial moments in playoff history. The Pistons walked off the floor before the final whistle, walking past the Bulls bench with their heads down, refusing to shake the Bulls players' hands and congratulate them.
I didn't lead the walk-off. There were several people in the center field. I don't know what happened, but I know I didn't lead the walk-off. If I'd have known that it would have caused this much stir, then we would have shook hands.
This sparked a ton of controversy and added more fuel to the beef between Jordan and Thomas. Jordan and Chicago would go on to win their first NBA title after they defeated the Lakers in the finals. And soon after that, Jordan received a phone call that would change basketball globally. The person calling him was Rod Thorne, who was part of the U.S. Olympic Selection Committee and was tasked to convince Jordan to play in the 1992 Barcelona Olympics.
Rod Thorne calls me and says, "We would love for you to be on the Dream Team." I says, "Oh, who's all playing?" He says, "Well, the guy you're talking about or you thinking about is not going to be playing."
And according to the book Dream Team, author Jack McCallum quotes Jordan saying, "Rod, I don't want to play if Isiah Thomas is on the team." McCallum also released a podcast series with the actual recording of Jordan saying that he decided against Isiah being on the Dream Team.
Rod Thorne called me and said, "Rod, I won't play Isiah Thomas on the team." He assured me, he said, "You know what? Chuck that one, Isiah. So Isiah's not going to be a part of the team."
In the 2020 documentary The Last Dance, Jordan said that he indeed hated Isiah, but denied that he had anything to do with Thomas's absence from the Dream Team.
No matter how much I hated him. Now, it was insinuated that I was asking about him, but I never threw his name in there.
But ultimately, MJ accepted the invitation, and on September 21, 1991, it was first announced that NBA stars would participate in the Olympics. The 10 players chosen were Charles Barkley, Larry Bird, Patrick Ewing, Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan, Karl Malone, Chris Mullin, Scottie Pippen, David Robinson, and John Stockton. Isiah not being among them sparked huge media backlash, because Isiah had made the All-Star team each year from the moment he came to the NBA, and was widely considered the second-best point guard ever behind Magic Johnson.
To me, the best point guard of all time is Magic Johnson, and right behind him is Isiah Thomas.
But while he was still playing, Jordan denied accusations that he had anything to do with Isiah not being selected.
If you want to attribute it to me, go ahead, be my guest. But it wasn't me.
And while Isiah was certainly a bigger name, from a basketball standpoint in 1991, he wasn't better than Magic nor John Stockton, who led the NBA in assists for 4 years in a row at that point, and was a better shooter than Thomas. While he was certainly disappointed to be left off the greatest team ever, Isiah was still complimentary of Michael. During the 1993 finals, Isiah joined the NBC broadcast, where he kept praising Jordan and his greatness.
When you're talking about this Bulls team, you're really only talking about Michael Jordan. His energy level is so much greater than ours in performing at a level that we frankly just weren't able to reach.
In 1994, Isiah retired from the NBA, He faced Michael a total of 65 times in the league, and Thomas has a 36-29 winning record over Jordan, including a 12-10 record in the playoffs. And for the next 25 years, the beef between him and MJ was mostly dormant, with a few cheeky comments here and there. In 2004, Michael had a conversation with Cigar Aficionado and discussed what the issues were between him and Isiah. Isiah was from Chicago, and he wanted to come back and show he still dominated Chicago. I was the new guy in Chicago, and people were supporting the team. It became a dogfight between us. There was some real hatred there. Former Chicago Bulls player Brad Sellers also had similar comments to what his ex-teammate said. We all heard about what happened at the 1985 All-Star Game, but the bigger issue was that Isiah was from Chicago. He worked to be one of the top players to represent that city, and Mike came in and eviscerated that. I can't imagine what that felt like for Zeke, to have an outsider come in and have the entire city behind him. There was no love left for him in Chicago, except from family. This story was also confirmed by John Sally, who played with both Jordan and Thomas.
Isiah goes home, and his nephew is wearing a Bulls jersey, Michael Jordan Bulls jersey. He said, "Hey, what are you doing?" But I'm from Chicago. I'm down with the Bull movement. Isiah was mad. In his brain, every time I play against this dude, I'm gonna try to go off so my nephew sees this is the jersey you should wear.
In 2009, Larry Bird and Magic Johnson published a book called When the Game Was Ours, in which Magic said Isiah killed his own chances when it came to the Olympics. Nobody on that team wanted to play with him. But Magic later denied those quotes, and Isiah touched on this during an episode of Open Court in 2015.
I got no problems with, the greatest player to ever play say he don't want to play with me, or Magic saying he don't.
During that same episode, Isiah also boasted how he always used to beat Jordan in the 80s.
Yeah, Jordan was a great player in the 80s, but they were finishing third and fourth in the division.
Yes. Exactly.
So I know all y'all watching want to say, oh, Jordan was he was great in the 90s.
Yes.
He dominated in the 90s.
Yes.
But in the 80s, he was out in the first round.
However, nothing stirred up this rivalry like the 2020 documentary The Last Dance, which could have been more viewed than the actual NBA basketball in 1998. In the doc, MJ talked about the Pistons' walk-off during the 1991 playoffs.
You can show me anything you want. There's no way you can convince me you so 2 years in a row, we shook their hands when they beat us. There was a certain respect to the game that we paid to them. That's sportsmanship.
But The Last Dance wasn't well received by many people involved with the story, most notably teammates Scottie Pippen, Luke Longley, Horace Grant, Bill Cartwright, Craig Hodges, and Ron Harper. Of course, Isiah didn't like it either. Thomas said he knew about the rivalry, but that he didn't know that Jordan hated him so much.
I never knew this dude felt the way he felt until The Last Dance.
Thomas went on several podcasts where he talked about the topic, asking Jordan to apologize.
You got on national television and you called me a and then you said you hated me. You said that on national television. Now, if you didn't mean it, get on national television and apologize for it. Now, if you meant it, let it ride as it is.
Isiah also explained how he helped Michael when he first got drafted by the Bulls.
When Michael Jordan got to Chicago, I made it real easy for him to walk those streets on the west side of Chicago. My family took care of him.
After The Last Dance, Isiah was determined never to mention Jordan as the GOAT ever again. Numerous times he cited LeBron as the best ever.
So are you saying LeBron is better than Michael Jordan?
I would pick LeBron James.
And when he was asked who's the best player he played against, he put Jordan at number 4, which is quite different from what he was saying in the early 90s, while he was still an NBA player. In 2021, during the NBA's Best 75 Players celebration, Jordan and Isiah did their best to avoid each other, proving that the beef was still very much alive. And while Isiah has publicly buried the hatchet with Magic Johnson, during a televised interview where both legends shared hugs and tears, it's unlikely that this will happen with Jordan. MJ is not on speaking terms with Scottie Pippen anymore. He hasn't spoken to Charles Barkley in over a decade, and is known to be very petty. Because, as we know, Michael Jordan takes things personally, and he and Isiah will probably hate each other to the grave. Thanks for watching. And hey, if you like this video, subscribe to Nonstop and watch some more.